The 2025 Cubs are good, but are they good enough to beat the 2016 World Champion Cubs? I'm going to square these two teams up against the best pitchers, the best lineups. It's a winner-takes-all three-game series. And if the 2025 team wins, then obviously they're going to win the World Series. Okay, so how do we play this game? We only have a 35-game sample size of the 2025 Chicago Cubs, but we have an entire 162-game sample size of the World Champs.
The Cubs win the World Series! Brian makes the play!
My best thought is we'll take the available data within the first 35 games for both teams, and then we'll apply a lot of what we learned about the 2016 team to just kind of generalize some things. But before we jump into the fun, let's take a look at some of the key facts about both these teams. First, the records. While the 2025 team has stormed through the toughest schedule in all of baseball through the first 35 games and won 21 of them, that puts them 6 games behind the 2016 mark, which this team was 27-8 at this time. Advantage world champs. And they add to their case with the pitching. This is completely one-sided. The 2016 crew could just flat out pitch from top to bottom, not to mention their starting pitching was next level. All 5 of their starters went at least 166 innings, and Jon Lester led the way with just over 202 innings pitched. It was a different era, I'll give them that, but it's still really impressive. Both Jon Lester and Kyle Hendricks were in the Cy Young race. Not to mention Jake Arrieta was on this staff, and he was thought to be the repeat Cy Young Award winner, but after a rough second half, he kind of fell off. Still, though, that first half was mind-boggling.
Jake Arrieta has done it again!
Meanwhile, the 2025 Cubs don't have one of their aces in Justin Steele as he's out for the season, but they also have a lot of question marks on how reliable this starting rotation is for an entire 162-game season. But let's look at the 35-game mark for each one of these staffs. At 2016, they had a 2.68 ERA. They had only allowed 25 home runs through the first 35 games, and they had a 3-to-1 walk ratio with over 300 strikeouts and just over 100 walks. Compare that to the 2025 staff, which currently has a 3.85 ERA. That's more than a run higher than the 2016 team. 35 home runs allowed, and their strikeout to walk ratio, not even in the same ballpark. Then, of course, there's the offense, and this is where the 2025 squad actually has a leg up. There is a lot that you look at that screams the 25 team can hit and run the bases better. Both teams scored nearly the same amount of runs, 208 in 2025 to 205 in 2016. The slash line, a lot of comparisons, 262, 339, 455 in 2025 versus 265, 369, 439 in 2016. And no surprise from there that the 25 team has hit more home runs, 52 compared to 40, 19 stolen bases in 2016, already 45 in 2025. Now, it's a small sample size in 2025, but it has to be mentioned that this team is hitting 289 with runners in scoring position and 267 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, whereas the 2016 team throughout the entire 162-game season was at 252 for runners in scoring position and 219 for 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Speaking of not sustainable, but it sure is fun to talk about, if these 6 Cubs continue on the pace that they are on, which again, I put a major asterisk next to that, you're going to see Michael Busch with 29 home runs, Carson Kelly, 33, Dansby Swanson, 33, PCA, 43 home runs. Could you imagine that? Kyle Tucker with 43, which seems reasonable to me, and Seiya Suzuki with 43 home runs. That would be wild. And all of them, except for Dansby Swanson, over 100 RBIs. You got Kyle Tucker at 143. Is this the steroid era again? I mean, what's going on here? Meanwhile, the 2016 Cubs only had 2 players over 30 home runs, and the next closest had 21.
He who must not be named.
So let's get to the 3-game set, and here are the conditions. First of all, we will be playing with the DH, so 2025 rules. We're going to base everything off of the first 35 games of the year, so where their stats lie, what they were good at that time, and also who was actually on the team. So Wilson Contreras and Aroldis Chapman are not going to be playing against the 2025 Cubs. If the player was currently on the 15-day DL or lower, and what we call that today, an IL, then they're still going to be active for this series. Now, if they are on the 60-day or over, then they are not available. Therefore, no Kyle Schwarber, no Justin Steele, and no Javier Assad. And since it's a short series, we're probably going to only assume that we see 4, maybe 5 bullpen arms. So let's get to the lineups. The 2016 squad is going to put Dexter Fowler in center field, Chris Bryant in left field. Rizzo's going to bat third at first base. Jorge Soler, DH, batting fourth and cleanup. Ben Zobrist at second base. Addison Russell at shortstop, Jason Hayward in right field, David Ross catching, and then Javier Baez at third base. The 2025 squad, a lot of what you've gotten used to over the last week here. Happ, Tucker, Seiya, Bush, Kelly, Nico, PCA, Dansby, and Birdie. And the pitching matchups, John Lester coming with a 1.96 ERA versus Shota Imanaga at 2.82. Jake Arrieta in Game 2 at a ridiculous 1.29 ERA with a no-hitter under his belt. Colin Ray, huge surprise for the 2025 Cubs, having a miraculous first year as a Cub, 1.46 ERA. And then Kyle Hendricks, the 26-year-old, sporting a 3.03 ERA, the soft tosser, going up against a resurgent Matthew Boyd, who's been touching 96 with his fastball at a 2.70 ERA. And let's get into each game. The box score for Game 1, John Lester loses to Shota Imanaga. The 2025 Cubs win and take an advantage 1-0 on this series by winning 5-3. Lester just couldn't hold this team on the bases. Despite giving up only 5 hits through 7 innings, he allowed 4 stolen bases and a 2-run home run to Seiya Suzuki. His final line was 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Carson Kelly collects 2 RBIs. Kyle Tucker had a sac fly after a double steal off of Lester, and that was with Happ and Birdie. Shota Imanaga's fastball completely mystifies the Champs lineup, gives up a solo home run to Addison Russell, but that was the only run that he allowed. 6 strikeouts in the 6 innings. And then Merriweather, Hodge, and Presley all kind of combined to struggle a little bit, as you've come to know. 2 runs total in their 3 innings, but the Cubs do win this one 5-3. Game 2, on paper, it looked like it was going to be a pitching matchup, and that's exactly what we got, but Jake Arrieta doing this just absolutely unconscious, ridiculous, fill in the gap for whatever the adjective is for this, dating back to the second half of 2015. He goes 8 innings, 1 run, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks. Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant go back-to-back in the 4th inning against Colin Ray, who actually to that point had a no-hitter going. Ray ends up going 7 innings, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Zobrist added an RBI single off of Brad Keller in the 8th inning, and Hector Rondon allowed 2 runners to reach in the 9th, but struck out Dansby Swanson to end the game. And the rubber match, drum roll please, Matthew Boyd gets shellacked, and Kyle Hendricks shuts down the 25 Cubs. This one wasn't even close. 2016 Cubs win the series and win this game 7-2. All year long, they completely dominated lefties in 2016 with an 807 OPS, and after that magical fastball from Shota, they were ready for a more conventional fastball from Boyd. Baez, Bryant, and Fowler all homered. Hendricks went 6 innings, 1 run, a solo home run given up to Kyle Tucker, and the 25 Cubs also made 2 errors. They weren't particularly relevant to the game's outcome, but worth mentioning. Don't worry though, Cubs fans, it's early on. It's 36 games into the season. The defense and the bullpen and the pitching have some time to get things figured out. We'll see how these two teams compare when they match up again in September.